Hey, I'm Paula. Today we're gonna make a free-form apple pie. So let's start with some flour in a bowl of a food processor. We're gonna make the dough first. So we need 320 grams of flour, regular all-purpose. There you go. And we're gonna add 25 grams of sugar, just plain granulated. White sugar. And next we're going to add a teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to put this back on the base. There we go. And then we're going to add 240 grams of butter in little cubes. This is chilled butter. I cut it up earlier and chilled it. And I use salted because I really kind of like crust when it's a bit salty. Apple pie is pretty sweet, so I like the salt. I'm gonna save this last bit of butter for later. So that's 240 grams gone in, and now we're just gonna pulse it until it just turns into fine little crumbs. Still a few big chunks. That's better. So all the little bits are quite small. It's kind of like a meal now. There's no big chunks left. And then into that, I'm just gonna get some cold water. I just pulled this water out of the freezer because I was keeping it really cold. It's actually got a little ice on it. So this is 100 mils of really cold water. Just dump it in. And then pulse a few more times. And when it starts to come together like a dough, I want to stop. I'm going to do a couple more here. It's pretty good. So I'm just going to dump this out onto some plastic wrap. Once you've got it wrapped up, you can kind of smush it together. And that's it. So that's the dough. And I'm going to put this into the fridge for at least half an hour, but overnight is fine. And we'll see you in a few minutes to make the filling. So next up, I'm going to make the filling. I've got some Granny Smith apples here. I like using Granny Smith for pies and tarts because they hold their shape really nicely and they're also nice and sour. So again, like the salt, you want to balance out the sweetness of the pie. And the sour apples do just that. So Granny Smiths, I have about 1.3 kilos here because I want to end up with 1 kilo of peeled and cored apples. So you just have to buy a few extra to make up for the weight of the peels and cores that you're going to lose. So I'm just going to peel all these. It'll probably take me a few minutes. So while you're waiting, you can just hit the subscribe button and throw a comment down. Maybe what are your favorite apples to use for apple pie? And now to slice them all. And I like to slice them fairly thin. And the main thing is that they're around the same thickness so that they all cook evenly. And you don't wind up with any crunchy ones. So now all the cores and peels are out of the way and we can just go for it. Some food processors have slicer blade attachment that you can stick on top, and that's actually great. I would use that if I had one, but I don't. Okay, so we're back and all of our apples have been peeled and cored and sliced. I tried to do them as evenly as possible. And now we're gonna make the rest. Actually, no. First, we're gonna preheat the oven to 400. And now we can finish making the filling. So we're gonna go onto the scale here and hit 0. And we're gonna put the zest and juice of 1 lemon. So this is also really good to counteract all the sugar in this thing. I love lemon in just about everything. And if you don't have a microplane for zesting your lemon, just get one. It's pretty necessary, I'd say, if you're doing any amount of baking at home. Oh, and if I haven't mentioned already, get a scale. If you don't have a scale, you can use my handy conversion chart that I wrote. It's on howtomakedinner.com. But I really recommend you get a scale. Because look how few dishes I've used. Like, you don't have to use measuring cups or anything. Like, it all just goes into the one bowl. It's just a wonderful thing. So I'm gonna squeeze the lemon in. This lemon is gigantic. It won't even fit into the juicer, but we'll make it work. Oi. It's like really big lemon. I might only use half because, because it's so big. So it's like 2 tablespoons or so, but I usually just say 1 lemon, but in this case, I'm gonna say half a lemon because that's crazy big. Okay. Move that aside. And what else? We've got 150 grams of brown sugar going in. 150. There we go. And then 75 grams of white sugar. There we go. And we're gonna do 40 grams of flour. So this is gonna thicken up the juices so that it's not just a big juicy mess, but it's kind of saucy and nice. So 40 grams. This recipe is up on the blog, by the way, so you don't have to memorize what I'm saying. And then we're gonna do a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of cinnamon, and nutmeg. So I never really measure nutmeg. I just say, just start grating it, and when you get bored of grating it, stop. Or when you think you have enough. I love it, so I basically just grate until I get a little bit tired. Probably about half a teaspoon if I were to measure. It smells so good. And then we're just gonna toss it up. I always use my hands, they're clean. Maybe it's because I don't like washing dishes, so I just use my hands whenever I can. All right, so that's all tossed together. That's gonna start to make a nice little sauce as it sits. We're just gonna put it off to the side, clean up a bit, and then it's time to bring it all together. So I'll get the dough out of the freezer and we'll put it together. Okay, we're back. So we've got the chilled dough. It's actually been in the freezer because I was rushing the process a little bit. So it should be nice and firm. And you wanna make sure the butter is really nice and cold. That's why we chill it. Otherwise it'll just kind of melt right away in the oven and fall apart. So it's also really hard to roll when the butter is soft. So lots of flour and just start rolling. You want to try and keep it as round as possible. So I do little short rolls in the middle. I never roll to the end. I find it stays more even when you just roll the middle and then turn it like 1 o'clock and then 2 o'clock. Just keep turning it. And if you notice the edges start to crumble apart, you can kind of just mush them back together. It's no problem. This is a pretty forgiving dough, I find. Some dough just falls apart like crazy. This one's pretty good. Now you want to roll it pretty much just as a little bit bigger than your baking sheet, really. So it's pretty big. I just kind of lift it up a bit and feel the thickness. Make sure there's no kind of areas that are way thicker than any other areas. And at this point I do kind of want to glue these cracked bits together as much as possible to prevent leaks in the oven. So just a little touch up at the end here. And I think we're pretty good. Yep, I'm gonna go with that. And it's called freeform for a reason. It's okay if it's not totally perfectly round. It's gonna be rustic, and that's good. So I'll bring over the baking sheet. And it helps to roll the dough over a rolling pin to transport it. And then just unravel it. Glue those last little bits together. And at this point, we just try and pile the apples into the middle, leaving the juices behind so they don't leak all over the place. We add those in after. And I've seen people do these with like really fancy apple arranging. If you want to do that, that's totally your call. I'm not really much of an arranger. Call me lazy. I don't know. I rely on rustic a lot, the word rustic. Okay, so piling them up. There's a bunch of juices in the bottom here. We'll deal with those in a minute. And I want to spread the apples so that they're pretty even in kind of a nice even layer. Okay, so all the apples are arranged. I've left a nice 3-inch or so border around the outside. So this is so that we can fold the edges up, and all this dough is going to keep the apples inside, and we're not going to have any leaks in the oven. So we just fold it up and then just work our way around, overlapping each fold. And again, doesn't have to be perfect. And this is one of those crusts that, I mean, I'm not a huge crust lover most of the time, but this is a crust that I love so much. I'd be happy to get a big section of crust on this pie. So there it is. Now we can drizzle the rest of the juices over now that it's all contained with the dough. Let's get a spatula here. And just drizzle it over. I'm also going to put some dots of butter on the top. This is 45 grams of butter that I cut up earlier. Just dot it on. This just adds a nice richness and kind of helps thicken the juices with the flour. Just feels like the right thing to do. And then we're going to put a bit of egg wash on the crust. This is just beaten egg and a bit of water. Some people use just egg yolk. Some people use egg and milk or cream. This is just an egg and water, straight up. And if you see any cracks, that look questionable, seal them up now, because it'll be a disaster in the oven if you have a leak in there. Especially, actually, I would recommend using a rimmed baking sheet for this. This is not a rimmed baking sheet, so I'm kind of playing with fire. Rimmed baking sheet means that it'll catch any leaks if they do come out. I'm just going to patch up one little bit here and hope that we're safe. So egg wash is on. Very last step is just to sprinkle a little bit of sugar on the crust. If you have coarse raw sugar, that's even better, but I'm just using white granulated sugar. This just adds a nice little bit of crunch. And then it's going in the oven. So 400 degrees for 35 to 45 minutes or so. So we'll see you in a few minutes. So here it is. I just took the apple pie out of the oven and it's looking pretty good. Now, it did spring a little bit of a leak, but we got it in time. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's all there is to it. Cut it up, have it with some ice cream, whipped cream, Greek yogurt. It's like perfectly gooey, really nice crust. It's just the best. I'm really excited to eat it. So that's it for today. Make this and let me know how it turns out. And we'll see you next time. Bye.